on a general level, I think some of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs are really facing is starting. Right? You could be an entrepreneur in spirit, but if you never start, you'll never know. Right? You could have the best ideas. You could have, the way to, like how we were talking about. You could have, you could have ideas to shave down time and to improve society. But entrepreneurs, for some reason, are very scared. Scared of failure, scared of judgment, scared of, looking like an idiot or whatever, even though that's part of the process. But entrepreneurs don't want to start.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well, hope you're looking after yourselves. Welcome back to another episode of The Student Guide, where we dive into topics with amazing guest speakers and we learn more every episode. I've always told you, I don't like introducing our guest speakers because I will never do them justice. So instead, I'm going to let our guest speaker for today introduce himself. Zion, how you doing, man? Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm good, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming.
I really appreciate being here. Again, even though I saw you just last week, but coming again is honestly a great privilege again to speak to you, and I know we're gonna have a great conversation. In terms of introducing myself, I never do myself justice, and that might sound surprising, but I'll try. But yeah, my name is Zion. Zion Kolade. I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria, moved here. I know you're Nigerian too, right? Come on, right? I was born in Nigeria, moved here when I was 8 years old, so I'm a first generation immigrant. So since then, I've obviously went through the school system, graduated from uni just last year in 2022 with economics, studied economics and management. I always say I'm not an academic, but I'm clever. So, take from that what you will. I started a business called Wislore, Wislore Ltd. And I'm excited to speak about it. I will say that, anything that I say is from my experience. I'll never try and speak from anybody else's experience because that would be fake, right? And even though this entrepreneurial journey that I've been on is short so far, I've learned a lot of stuff, and I'm happy to be here just to tell everybody about that. Sure.
Definitely, man. And I think that's the most important thing of when it comes to like learning stuff, it's all about the experience,
Facts.
Going through experiences, that's how you learn things, that's how you grow, that's how you learn more about yourself, learn about others.
Yeah.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire.
But yeah, let's get into the first question.
Hey,
what is Wislore? You mentioned it in your intro. Could you let us know a bit more about what it is?
Wislore. So like I said, I'm the founder and MD, managing director of Wislore Ltd. Wislore, basically, if I could sum it up in one sentence, because I always believe a business, if it's good, it can be summed up in one sentence or less. If I can sum up in one sentence, it is the home of entrepreneurs, period. Or it will be. It's turning into that. But Wislore is a home of entrepreneurs. And what that means is that we believe in a couple of pillars. Well, 4 pillars to be exact. We believe in consultation, education, entertainment, and the most important one, which we are now like introducing more and more, is connection. And Wislore is basically going to be that platform that does those 4 things, right? It's going to be a place where you can go and educate yourself on the topic of entrepreneurship. It's going to be a place where you can get consultation for anything and everything that you need for your business. It's going to be a place where you can actually get business entertainment. I think that's actually an important aspect of it. And more importantly, it's going to be a place where you can go and connect with other entrepreneurs just like yourself. I think that last part is especially important because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small and growing entrepreneurs believe that the only way that they can grow is through getting funding, right? And I need to go get a VC, I need to, do a raise in round 1 and give away 10% of my equity and and go through that progression because of what they watch on, Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, these types of shows. And I'm not bashing that. However, when you're at your beginning stage, that can be quite discouraging because you might not have that network, you might not have those contacts, you might not know how to go about that, you might not even have, your idea might not be in that stage where it needs funding, right? But the way that you can scale and the way that you do scale is through connection, right? It's through meeting those entrepreneurs that are just like yourself, and through those partnerships, through adding value, right? And you may think, oh, but I'd have to pay for that kind of. No, you don't. No, you don't. The way that Wislore has grown to this point is through partnerships and ventures. And I didn't have to pay a penny. Why? It's because we traded value, right? So Wislore said, me and Wislore, we said, okay, this is the value that Wislore has. This is the value that you have. How can we work together to make sure there's that trade-off, right? And that you get what you want and I get what you want without us paying, huge sums of money, right? So that's how we grew, and that's what entrepreneurs need to know and need to understand, and that's what Wislore is going to be. It's going to be a place where you can connect, where you can meet other entrepreneurs just like yourself. So yeah, in short, Wislore is the home of entrepreneurs, and I'm really excited to be going further with it. And if you are a smaller and growing entrepreneur and you want to come home, then come home, right? Go to Wislore, come to Wislore. I hope that was a good introduction.
That was amazing. Yeah. I like the end as well, man. That's catchy.
Yeah, come on, I might actually introduce that. I might incorporate.
But yeah, no, I think that's really important. I think, kind of like we mentioned, one thing I always shout about is so I guess it's a bit of a plug, and we'll sort of include this on Instagram as well. But the Entrepreneur Hub at Brunel, they do a yearly competition called the Venture Crawl. Okay. Now, I've only been once, but like we were saying about connections, that event to me is essentially the pinnacle of that. It's like the perfect example of that. Right. Because at that event, essentially different students from different universities around London. So I know like King's attend. I think maybe London Met as well. There's like SOAS, I think, are attending this year. Right. But last year was online, so it was like attending workshops done by different people, sort of having breakout rooms. The reason why I sort of say it's amazing is because of what you were saying. It's all about essentially like having the opportunity to network with people. Right. So for me, again, perfect example of this is I attended a session and a person was just like, oh, I've got this business to do music. I've been looking for a graphic designer for ages. I was like, well, hey, look, I've actually got someone who helps me out on the podcast who's a graphic designer. Can I send her your way? She was just like, oh yeah, sure, definitely, that's amazing. And I always say I've said it in the podcast, whether it's professional, whether it's like social, networking is what helps you to build your business. It's all about like speaking to people, like going out there, trying new things, like going to events, speaking to people, even like connecting on LinkedIn. I've said that as well. Like people sometimes feel like, oh, actually, I can never like send someone a message on LinkedIn. I can't DM them.
I DM so many people on LinkedIn. You have to. It's the only way, right? Even the way that I found Brunel was literally by reaching out, going on the website, scraping through, finding their emails and finding Instagrams. You have to. This is what you have to do when you are a smaller growing entrepreneur that doesn't have that cash. Yeah, carry on.
No, definitely, man. It's literally just that. It's like, by doing that, it's like you build up your network and, you learn. You connect with people that can connect you later on in life. So there are people that through, like if I didn't, let's say, attend that event, that I probably wouldn't be doing things now. Even people on the podcast. Like there are people who have been on the podcast, and I've said it before, I've just sent them a message just like, hey, look, I saw your post, or I saw the work that you do. I think it's great. Yeah. Would you be cool to come on the podcast? Let's discuss it. We're not formal. You don't have to like come with your professional self and be like, I'm corporate, whatever. Like just come as you and like we'll joke, we'll discuss, we'll be serious when we need to, we'll laugh when we can. And it's just like that. And it's just connecting with people that's so important.
And I think it's important to like, this world is so online and, work from home. It's great, remote work, and you can work with somebody in China if you wanted to, and it would work probably well. However, it speaks to the fact that you actually have to get up and go out. You have to be willing to move, and I don't mean like, move house or anything. I mean, get up, literally, physically go to these events, go to, these type networking events, go to different universities, right? me and my friend, we love going to different universities and meeting different people, because that's how you meet people with different experiences, right? And it's so amazing when you strike up a conversation with somebody you may think is just an average person. But when you dive deeper into that with them, you find out they're doing all of these amazing things. You're like, whoa! And when you go deeper in friendship with that person, or even it's just like a connection you think you can leverage, it's amazing how you can actually add value to them and they can add value to you. But you will never do that if you don't get up and move, right? And that's the important thing. And the thing is, there are a lot of networking events that are quite boring. Like, just go give your business card. And one of the things that Wislore is actually trying to do is change that. So we're working with University of Portsmouth right now to actually put on an event. And this event is, a networking event led by smaller growing entrepreneurs, for smaller growing entrepreneurs, to meet others like them and to maybe meet people who are a bit higher up than them. And we're going to do it in a different way, not the traditional business card type event. No, that's not, I don't think it's working, in my opinion. But if we can find a way to foster that conversation where you can connect with someone, boom, immediately, and then see where the value is at, and then go from there, that's amazing, right? So these things are happening. You need to find a way, as an entrepreneur, to get up, go find it yourself, because it probably won't come to you if you're just sitting at home. I won't lie to you. It won't come to you. You need to go find it yourself.
No, definitely, man. And I think one thing before we go on to the next question is, like you said about the new style of networking. So like, I don't know if you've heard of them. I don't know if these guys have heard of them, but like the Gen Z Club and Word on the Curb. Word on the Curb do a lot of like social stuff. So like they have a lot of like, reaction videos. Gen Z Club, I'd heard about them before. I knew some people who sort of like worked with them. But they were doing like a Valentine's Day event, which was all about like how, as a Gen Z, how do you navigate the dating world? And it was really interesting because the like two people. So there was this person who she may be on the podcast at some point. She hopefully we pray. But she and her husband were speaking at the event. Now, what I find really interesting is I didn't know they were speaking when I first saw the event. So I'd messaged this person before. I messaged them on LinkedIn, just like you said, send them a message, just hey, I'm doing this event, I'd love to have you as a guest speaker. I even completely forgot that I did that. It wasn't until like I messaged them again after we sort of spoke at the event. But yeah, I was just like, let me attend, let me see what happens. And yeah, it was a really good event. Like you said, like networking, like speaking to loads of different people about like their businesses, learning about them. And the thing is, to me, I liked it because it wasn't like sold as a networking event. It was sold as like, you're going to learn from people about like dating and all this stuff. It wasn't like forced. Like it wasn't like, forced. It's like, it's a networking event and you have to like come, bring your business card and all that. It was like, no, it's just like an opportunity to like chat to some people. If you want to do some speed dating, you do speed dating. If you want to like learn this. And I liked it because not only did I get to meet people, like these two speakers that I have been trying to, like I'd messaged before, and like I said, completely forgot about it. And I was like, cool, I messaged them, they're probably busy. But I got to speak to them, spoke to them about like the podcast and all this stuff. And it's like we said, if I hadn't gone to that event, I wouldn't have spoken to them. So yeah, man, this is the truth. But yeah, let's go on to the next question, which is, you sort of answered it. So if you want to go on to the next question after this, we can go on to it. But it was basically about like, why did you start Wislore?
Why did I start? I think I'll give you a pre-background to the background. When I was this is around 2019, actually I'll give you like further than that. I've always been a guy that people for some reason come up to and ask business questions. I don't know if that's something that I present myself as. I don't think I've ever presented myself as a business expert, but as a 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, people would usually come up to me and ask. And that's because, actually for some reason I like watching the news. I don't know why. I don't know. It's interesting to me, I watch the news. I watch, all of these CNBC type things. I watch a lot of, business shows. And I think people kind of knew that. And that led to people just coming up to me and asking me business questions. And I was like, what's this? Like, why is this happening? Like, And in 2019, I decided to explore. I was like, if people are going to ask me questions, let me try something, right? So what I decided to do was start like a mini consulting company, right? And what I did was I made an Instagram page and I said, I called it CTS Consulting, right? Because it sounds very professional. It's probably not, doesn't really mean anything. I don't know anything. So, and it sounded professional. So I started the Instagram page and I said, if you want, I can consult, help your business grow, and I'll do it for free, right? And I launched. I didn't expect anything to happen. However, I got 5 clients within a few days, and I was like, how the heck did that happen, right? And got those clients, and I realized I'm one man. I can't handle more than these clients, asking me to do all of these things. And importantly, what they were asking me to do, they were people like me, people around my age. What they were asking me to do, they weren't asking me to help them get 30% return on their investment. They weren't asking me to, Zion, can I grow my business? Or what do you think the right strategy is for this? Should I conduct a SWOT analysis and pest analysis? No, what they're actually asking me is, Zion, how do I register a business? Zion, should I register as an LTD? Should I register as a sole trader? Or the basic stuff, right? And I was thinking, okay, these are questions that are kind of basic. That must mean that this is scalable, right? In some way. So I said, okay, how do I scale this? Right? How do I scale this so I can reach the maximum amount of people while it's only me? And I was looking, and the best way people learn nowadays, and the way people learn is through video content. TikTok. It was at that time where TikTok was kind of blowing up, and Instagram and YouTube and all of this stuff. So short form video content was really popping up. So I said to myself, is there a way? Why can't I put the information that these entrepreneurs need, this basic information, into short form video content in an interesting way? And then, put that on the platform and then get people to come and learn. And then through that, we can go into other, real consulting, right? And that's what I did. And that's how, Wislore was born, And so the reason to answer your question, the reason I started Wislore was because I saw that yearning. I saw that want from entrepreneurs to learn about business, and I think there's no resource right now. There's no best place where you as an entrepreneur can go and get education on business. Like if you wanted to know how to start a business, you could probably search it up, but it'll probably you probably take you to some blog written by some guy or some woman and it's 5K words long, and no Gen Z person, business owners gonna read that. Maybe the millennials and maybe the ones older than us, but no one's reading that. Or you could go on YouTube, right, and type it in. Okay, but first of all, you probably don't even know where to start. Second of all, you're watching a video on entrepreneurship. Next thing you know, a cat video pops up, right? So it's not focused. It's not really for you. So I was like, there's no real one place where you as an entrepreneur could come and learn about entrepreneurship in the best way, where you can get the information like that. And in the most interesting ways, because if you go on Wislore, we tell all of our information. We convey all of our information through stories, and stories is the best way to do, to get information across, because it sticks in people's minds. If you can attach it to a story, then you're more likely to remember it going on. So, that's why I started entrepreneurship. There was no platform. There was no place where you as an entrepreneur could get that. And as I expanded that, I saw, okay, cool. There's no other place where you can get business entertainment. There's no other place where you can get, true consultation. And there's no other place where you can get connection, right? So there's 4 pillars. There's no way to get education, consultation, entertainment, and connection. So I thought, okay, great. All of these things are actually adding up to something. If I can successfully collate these things and bring them together, what I've created is now the home of entrepreneurs, right? And that's what Wislore is, and that's why I decided to start, Wislore, to just create a place where I can just go and rest in, where I can just go to and say, hey, this is where I am, and I can get everything I need as an entrepreneur to really grow my business, right? So that's why I started. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I think it's important because essentially, that's what businesses do. They address this needs, and I think that's why. We had an episode before, and again, hopefully it's called on YouTube, but it'll appear. But we had an episode where we spoke to a family friend who had they sort of became an entrepreneur, they started a business and all this. And that was one of the things we sort of mentioned there, that people sort of think, oh, like we were saying, okay, cool, I need to be an influencer. I need to just post about, record videos about my day-to-day interactions and okay, this is me going to uni. This is me asking all these people on the street random questions. Things and it's just no, if you want to be a social influencer, sure, that's good. But if you're looking to actually make money, then you need to think of what's a need. And I think sometimes people think I need to think of the next technical evolution or the next step in research. And like I said, it's not.
can help.
It's the most important thing is you as a person know that there are certain things that you would make your life easier, or there's things that don't exist that would help you.
Yep.
And it's about just thinking like, okay, what do I think the Entrepreneur Hub ran it. I don't know if they still do it, but they ran like a workshop on like essentially like how do you validate your business idea or things like that. Or maybe it was like a LinkedIn course, but essentially they were saying like, think about it like this, like write down a list of like things or problems that you have for you, like whether it's to do with your age, your gender, your race, like your understanding, like whatever it is, think of like what is an issue you face. Then next thing is pick like maybe the top 3. Look and see like, okay, if it's to do with, I don't know, like age. So what can you focus on age? So are you going to say like as a, I don't know, like 18-year-old, there isn't like an easy software that can help you to read resources for your course. Like there's nothing that can help if you've got like a 30-page paper and you're literally only looking for one sentence. There's nothing that can help you like narrow down what you're looking for. And then see if something like that exists. Cool. Is there something you can make unique about yours? If there's not one that exists already, okay, cool. How could you make about it working?
That's it. And that's so good. You've literally explained what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is if I could describe it like this, it's the forever improvement of society, right? And you may think, what? Society, business, how does that make any sense? But I don't think the way society improves is, sorry to get political, I don't think the way society improves is through politics and, leaders and government. Of course, there are certain policies that could benefit the world. However, in my opinion, the reason society has got to this point where we're actually, much better than we were 100 years ago is because of, business. It's because of enterprise, free enterprise, capitalism. And some people might not like capitalism. I love capitalism. Let me be honest with you. I love it. I love free capitalism. I love the fact that, I can wake up and decide who I want to be. And, I can make that happen without any constraints on me. Right. And the reason I say that, entrepreneurship is the forever, improvement of society is because as we, like you said, find those small things, right? The small things that, how can I do this better? And how can I do this better? And how can I do this better? As entrepreneurs, find those easier ways to do things, it saves time. It improves efficiency for people's lives, right? It adds value. It gives us freedom, right? So what it means is not only are you adding like, real value in terms of jobs and, you're pumping money into the economy and you're, doing all of these things and, making sure that your family can afford whatever it can afford, but you're actually, saving time on a micro level as well. You're making the lives of people more efficient. You're making, these technological advancements. Think about how long it used to take to get on the internet just 10 years ago, right? I don't know if you remember, like I'm still old enough to remember, those big desktop laptops, computers and the big fat computers on the bottom. Do you remember? And but think about it now. Literally look at this laptop, right? It might not be the quickest, but we'll get on the internet. It does exactly get on the internet within 10 seconds. Back then it used to take 5-10 minutes, and even before that, it used to take hours. Just to get on the internet. That's time that we are now saving that you could pump into spending time with your family. You could pump into, doing the hobbies you love or going to do that side hustle, right? And if entrepreneurs can find ways to keep improving, keep, bettering things, keep moving forward, that's the great thing. Even with AI, right? I don't know if you know much about ChatGPT. I'm worried, but at the same time, I'm still utilizing it as a tool because it's saving me time, right? I'm using it to better my writing. I'm using it to enhance everything that I'm doing, right? So entrepreneurship, don't even think about it from a level of, I want to make money or I want to, make sure my family's well off. Those are good things. But in my opinion, those are things that are byproducts of entrepreneurship. The real main benefit of entrepreneurship, when you think about it, is the betterment of society, right? And that constant improvement of, of finding things, finding problems and finding solutions. Find problems, find the solutions. That's entrepreneurship. Find the problems, find solutions, find problems, find solutions. And when you do that, you find that society, it may not be better in terms of, racism and things like that. But honestly, it probably is better, right? But where it will help is constant improvement, and it may seem small, but that small progress adds up. About the exponential. 1% better every day. look at what that adds up to in a year, right? So if we save time on a business that saves us, 1%, great, cool, that adds up over time. So entrepreneurship is that betterment of society.
No, definitely, man. I definitely agree. But yeah, let's go on to the next one. The next one, I also realize now, while I look at it, could technically have been one question. So, so I'm gonna try and see if we can do it as one question. That's cool.
Yeah.
If not, we can do it as two separate ones.
Okay.
But so essentially, the first part was what are some of the biggest challenges regarding entrepreneurship. But then I realized now that also. So something that we recently started to do, especially for the student guide, is we did an episode about making an entrepreneur, where we interviewed some Bruno entrepreneurs. We asked them questions and stuff like that. And one of the key things that from that event, but also from sort of discussions around entrepreneurship, one of the key things that was mentioned was this idea of don't be upset with your failures because they can turn to successes.
Beautiful.
So I think so the reason why I said that is because with this question, I guess there could be a challenge that, you personally have faced regarding entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But then, it seemed like a failure at the time, but you then, it then turned into a success afterwards. But yeah, so if you want to do it as one, you can.
I'll do it as two, because I actually think there are challenges that aren't necessarily failures, and failures that aren't necessarily challenges, right? Okay, so let's do it as two.
Yeah.
So biggest challenges, in regards to entrepreneurship. Well, if you're asking about mine, I'll say from a general level, and then I'll say mine, right? On a general level, I think some of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs are already facing is starting. Right, you could be an entrepreneur in spirit, but if you never start, you'll never know. Right, you could have the best ideas. You could have, the way to, like how we were talking about. You could have, you could have ideas to shave down time and to improve society. But entrepreneurs, for some reason, are very scared. Scared of failure, scared of judgment, scared of looking like an idiot or whatever. Even though that's part of the process. But entrepreneurs don't want to start. And I think I said this last time that we spoke, that, I listened to Reid Hoffman, and he said entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and you have no parachute, but all you have is the equipment to build a plane. And you have to build the plane on the way down. And if you survive, that means you built the plane and you guys are flying off. If you don't survive, you die, right? However, again, that's a scary thought. Imagine saying, "Oh, I'm going to jump off of this cliff and I have nothing but equipment to build a plane." Why would you even want to jump off in the first place, right? However, imagine you build that plane and now you're flying off into the sun. You're flying off into the sunset, into the horizon, and those that are still on the cliff are looking at you like, "Whoa, wow, I wish I was like that person." And that's essentially what entrepreneur is today. Entrepreneurship is today. A lot of people are on the cliff waiting to jump, saying, if I jump, what if I fall? If I jump, what if I can't build the plane in time? If I jump, what if I can't, get everything right? What if I can't? What if? But what you need to know is that all you need to do is just jump. Just jump. Just jump. Go for it, right? And I don't want to sound like an inspirational speaker or anything, but it's the truth, When Dory said just keep swimming, she meant just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. You need to jump and then keep plugging away. So that's a big challenge. Like, if you have an idea and you don't know where to start and figure it out as you go along. Do not, and I repeat, do not figure it out all before you do it. In my opinion, right? And that might seem backwards, but it's the truth. If you try and figure everything out, you'll never stop figuring everything out, because another question is going to come up. Oh, what about this? And what about that? And how much money am I going to need? And what are my parents going to think? If you try and figure out everything before you start, you will never ever start, right? And that's the curse of a perfectionist, I guess. But you need to jump. You need to jump and try and build a plane, and if you fall, cool, you get up, you try again. But start, entrepreneurs need to start. In terms of me, my hardest challenge, apart from, just starting, I think it's also about being strategic. I think with entrepreneurs, and me especially, I found it hard to be strategic in my thinking, because when you're an entrepreneur that doesn't have as much money as some of these guys, some of these guys and girls, and doesn't have as much resources, and doesn't have as big as network as some other people have, all you have left is your brain. All you have left is you. All you have left is what you have, So what does that mean? It means you have to learn to be strategic. It means you have to learn to, move in a way that is better than other people around you, right? And if you can't, then you might be left in the dust. So you need to figure out, what entrepreneurs need to do is they need to figure out the best way to be, strategic in their thinking, right? They need to figure out, how can I be strategic in what I'm doing to produce the maximum results. Again, my strategic thinking with Wislore was, using scaling through short form video content. If I stayed away with just me with 5 clients, then I would never have scaled. So it's that strategic thinking element.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just want to check because it's 30 minutes on here.
Yeah, I started recording.
You started recording again?
Recording,
Perfect. Oh, sick. Sick. Let's just keep going. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Zahn. That was really good. Let's go on to the next question, which is, can you name a time where a failure turned into success?
The failure. The failure aspect. Yes. So that original business where, I started and it was just, me and 5 clients per se. I could look at that as a failure, right? And I could say what I thought at the time was I'm going to be, bringing on clients and, I'm going to be getting new business every day, right? And, charging, eventually getting to the point where I'm like these consulting companies that charge £1,000 per hour, for reheated advice. Like, that's the easy life. I could just come to you and say, hey, this is the same advice I gave to that person, but, I reheat it in a way for your business. £1,000, give me that, That's money, free money, good money, right? However, I wanted it to be more than that. So what I had to do was I had to let that die, right? I had to let that thought die. I had to let that become a failure so that I could move on to the next thing. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship in general. A lot of entrepreneurs think the big idea that they have, imagine you wake up when you have this amazing idea. The big idea you have at the beginning, oftentimes as you go on the journey and the path of entrepreneurship, is never what it actually becomes, I guarantee you what Apple is today is probably not what Steve Jobs had in mind, right? I guarantee you the same thing with Larry Page, Sergey Brin, these guys who did Google. So what Google is today probably isn't exactly what they thought it was going to be back in 99 or whenever it was that they started it. Same thing with Facebook. Entrepreneurship has a weird way of eroding, and I think eroding is negative, but not in this context, but eroding what the market doesn't actually want, right? But, business at the core is a market and an idea. And, if there's demand, then the market wants it, they'll pay for it. If there's no demand, then they won't pay for it. But again, the market is so smart, it tends to pick what it only really needs, right? And it will take what it needs from the market, from your product or from your service. And then the rest is just like filler, right? The rest is like, I don't need this. What I really want is this, right? What I really want is this. I'm trying to think of an example. Hopefully one comes to me, but that's essentially what business is, right? The market will actually choose what they really want to see, right? And the thing is, your product might be, I have all of these amazing things, but the market will be like, well, I only really want these 2 things. And eventually it will start eroding all the other stuff away. And if you don't catch on that the market really only wants this, you get left in the dust by somebody else who does figure that out. Right? Who does figure out, this is what the market really wants. This is the nugget. This is what the customers really want. Right? So your big vision that you start off with will get eroded as you go along, eroded, until you get to the perfect peak, until you get to that point where it's, okay, this is exactly what the people want. This is exactly what the people are actually looking for. And the thing is, that can make you the best money. When you figure that out, all the filler, you can just think of it as essentially added business costs, right? Added cost of running, your sales or, sales costs, right? So you can actually get rid of it, find the core, then you can increase the margin on that core, charge more if you want to, and you can make good money from that. So entrepreneurs, don't be so scared to let things go because you think this is my vision and this is my this is what I want it to be like. don't be so dull and don't be so what's it called, blind that you can't see that the market really wants this, but you're pitching it this. And I have thought of that story. Thank God I did. I told this last time, but I'll say it again. It's about the story of Twitch, right? Twitch started off as the guy was, videoing himself. In 2007, he would video himself with a big backpack of equipment because there was no cameras, back in the day on iPhones that you could just vlog yourself with. We put on, backpack of cameras, a mic on his head, and he would just video himself 24/7, right? And the market liked that. And then he saw that, the market doesn't really want the people got bored of just seeing him 24/7, like sleeping, like what? So then he said, okay, cool, I'll give it to you guys. What do you want, right? What do you want? You can video yourself now. And then it turned into a platform where everyone was doing what he was doing, and they were videoing themselves 24/7 and doing all of this stuff. But then he realized when he looked deep into the business that most of what people were doing were videoing themselves gaming. Cool. So then he might have been like, okay, cool, people are just videoing themselves gaming. Cool, let me just stick to what I'm doing now, and hopefully that goes. But he said, okay, cool, if that's what people really want, I'm going to, let's pivot to that again. So then he pivoted, and that's how Twitch was born. Right, let's go to the beginning. Look at where we started. We started off as one man videoing himself 24/7, and the market eroded and chopped off the parts, the unnecessary part, and we landed at people recording themselves playing video games. Can you seriously tell me when the guy started, it was called Justin TV when he first started it. Can you really tell me that's what he had in mind? He didn't think that.
That's so true.
But if he was blind and he said, no, I'm just going to stick to what I'm sticking to, he wouldn't have made £1 billion when Twitch got sold to Amazon, right? So entrepreneurs, look at what the market was. Often what you want probably isn't what the market was, because entrepreneurs, they tend to have a massive vision and it's going to be like this and it's going to be like this. But when the market is telling you what it wants, listen, and make sure you listen well enough, and don't be so blind and don't be so proud that you refuse to actually pivot and turn the company into what it needs to be for the market.
No, definitely, man. I definitely agree. And I feel like it also works the opposite way of if there's something the market doesn't, if everyone in the market's saying this won't work because this and this, you can still sort of make it. Because, one thing before we go to the last question is, and also add a mic check. But I mean, this could also be the mic check. But it's a story of Trevor Noah. So I was listening to Trevor Noah on Kevin Hart's podcast, Comedy Goldmine, and Trevor Noah is someone that I pray one day will come on this podcast. We can have a discussion.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, he was saying that when he started doing comedy, comedians didn't upload their content to YouTube because their biggest fear was if someone watches your sketch on YouTube, why they're going to pay to watch you in person if they've seen you on YouTube. Right. Because he's most of the time you use the same jokes, people are just it doesn't make sense. And he was just no, that doesn't make sense because YouTube's an untapped audience. No one's not okay, on YouTube, I'm going out to the whole world. Yeah. If I'm doing a concert in South Africa or London or whatever, I'm only reaching the people that can A, are in that location, and B, can afford the ticket and be there at the time and all this. And you're saying, no, instead, if I upload it to YouTube, that's a new audience that I'm reaching. Those are people that they'll even if he's just they don't care. They won't want to be, they won't be okay, he's going to use the same jokes for everything. Yes, comedians might use the same story at one venue and another. Yeah. But then they'll introduce new things. They come up with new content. Yeah. And he was saying, that's the thing. If I don't use YouTube as an avenue, it won't help. And he said by being on YouTube and from other things that helped him to get spotted by Jon Stewart, and that's how he was able to get the Daily Show. Wow. And he his career boomed from there. And it's just that. It's especially if the market is people in the market are telling you, no, this won't work because of this and this, or we don't do that. We don't do things this way. Yeah. Also think about no, if it's something new, even for example I'm not we're not the first ones to do it, but even you were saying about YouTube and stuff, video podcasts. Okay, YouTube only recently has started to prioritize that. If there's a video podcast, you can now connect your podcast directly through YouTube. But that's an untapped audience. As much as great as like you can meet people and like do things through Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all these podcasting sites, like YouTube is an untapped audience. Like you said, I get recommended like random stuff on YouTube, and you'll just be like, this video title looks interesting. Let me check it out. Let me see what this person's talking about. And then the next thing you'll be like, wow, this person's like really cool. They're really engaging. Subscribe. And it's just that, man.
And that's why it's so important for you as a business, as a growing entrepreneur, to try everything. Literally try every method you can think of. Don't be so stubborn. Again, don't be so stubborn you think this is the channel, this is the distribution channel that's going to work for me, or this is a strategy that's going to work for me. No. It doesn't work like that. Because the market is so weird, you can't predict it. You know, there are people who get paid millions of pounds every year to predict the market, and they still can't predict it. You know, no one predicts the COVID, right? Exactly. So listen, you can't predict the market. And again, let's actually run with that. No one predicted COVID, but look what came out of COVID. Everybody became TikTok stars, right? From COVID. Without COVID, does that really happen? Not
even Zoom.
Even Zoom. Like, look at Zoom. Perfect example, right? Nobody would have heard of Zoom if COVID did not happen, right? And to Zoom, they would have been like, you know, maybe this isn't really working. This isn't like, but you never know what the market is going to bring you. You never know what situation is going to happen. And then because you decided to try that idea, something happened, and then it's about that preparation meets opportunity. Boom, you were prepared because you tried it. The opportunity came because of COVID. Obviously, it's a negative thing, but because of that opportunity that came, and it meant that you guys were able to be successful. To entrepreneurs, you need to try and fail at everything, right? You know, even the failure that I was talking about earlier, it's a platform for growth because you know this isn't working. Okay, cool. What can I do to make it work in other areas? So look at you know every part of your business and say, okay, what can I try here? You know, what distribution can I try here? And you know, what can I do? You know, I was looking at a business just kind of like, you know, consulting for them, and I was, you know, looking at their, you know, funnel, right? And if you don't know what a funnel is basically how you get a potential customer from cold, which is actually they don't know anything about you, to eventually a sale. And I was looking at their funnel, and it was just this one way of doing it, you know. So, you know, the business, you know, they would find them on Instagram, and then through Instagram they would click, and then they, you know, click to go to their website, and then their website. And it was just that whole thing. And I said, so this is the only funnel you have? And they were like, yeah, this is the only way that we get people to. And I was like, you need to develop that. You need to try everything. You need to start doing webinars. You need to start going to places. You need to start going to, you know, networking events to see who you can meet. You need to, you know, develop a webinar of speaking, right? Speaking to people, you know. When you speak in public events, you that way you can tell about the business. And guess what? Now you've got content that you can post on your Instagram. You need to try all of these, of course, within your capacity. That's important. However, you need to not rely on this one funnel and think that's going to make you rich. It's not possible. It's completely not possible. And when new technologies come out, leverage it. Leverage it to your full capacity. Use it again. I'll go back to ChatGPT. Because that's the thing that's coming out. Try it. Even though the whole thing with NFTs is kind of going down, and crypto, and you know, we all know that, you know, 99% of that stuff is scams. Some people got really rich off of it.
That's true, man.
Some people showed pictures of rocks and got rich. It's crazy to me to think that you can really do that. But some people did that, and now they're millionaires and billionaires, and it's all just crazy. But you were sitting at home thinking, nah, it's never gonna work. But now look at somebody who's got all that money and you don't have that money, right? And it sounds mean to say, but because they wanted to try and potentially fail, they tried it and now they're successful. And I know, you know, some of it was scams and stuff, but you could have leveraged it to your opportunity as well. Obviously not through scamming, I don't condone that, but you could have leveraged it too. So as an entrepreneur, it's so important, like you said, you know, to find, even if people are saying this won't work, it won't work, it won't work, try it anyways. Try it anyways and see what happens. You may find that it works.
I think two things before we go to the next question because of time. I think the first thing is, like we said about like manifestation, opportunity. Like my dad, I think he heard it from a pastor, but he said that there's this really powerful thing he says. He says when preparation meets expectation, manifestation occurs. And he was basically saying that when you prepare and you do things, no man, it's a good saying. Like it's when you like think about it, like you prepare and you expect like, you know, you sort of expect things to happen for you, and you don't sell, like you said, like sell for less and things like manifestation and these opportunities will occur. And it also links, like when you were saying about like stopping things, like the mic check that I was going to say for that was podcasting. Podcasting is a perfect example. Buzzsprout, the website that we use to like upload stuff, they have like a lot of like YouTube videos and blogs and all this stuff. The really interesting thing that they said there on like two key points of like why you shouldn't be afraid to start a podcast is two things. They said, one, most people who start a podcast will never get past their second episode. They said people will post the first one, the sort of like, you know, suss out the audience, be like, oh, what do people feel? How many listens have we got? How many people have interacted with the post and things like that? And they were just like, oh, cool. If it's done like mildly well or okay, they'll be like, cool, let me try a second one, see how it does. And they were just like, most people who start a podcast after second episode get stopped. And why? Because they become conscious of everything. They're like, oh gosh, you know, like we didn't get huge interactions. We don't have a huge like following. We don't have this. We don't have that. Oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen? And it's just like they were just like, no, don't be like that. Second thing they said why people close podcasts is because they said they're concerned about how people see them. And they said it's not even like necessarily like, oh, my close friend who I speak to every day. They were just like, no, you'll be like your secondary school friend, or you're not even like friend, your secondary school, like someone from secondary school who, you know, like said that one comment about you, or like, you know, they're successful or they're doing their own thing, and you're just like, oh gosh, man, like what if they see it? What if they do this? What if they do that? And they were just saying like, no, like if you feel like what you're doing is important, what you're doing matters, then do it. Because, you know, I've always said this with the podcast, like, again, if I ever find out who this person is, I'll get in touch with you. But whenever I release an episode, even before I like announce that it's out, like this person will watch. They'll listen. Sorry, they'll listen to the episodes. Now I know, like you said, like people prefer YouTube than like listening to podcasts and stuff. But yeah, there's like one person within like maybe a couple of hours of the episode. Like I said, sometimes I'll release an episode on a Monday. I won't even announce it until Wednesday, or like I won't announce it until 3 days later. This person's like already listened to it, and I'm like, I don't know you are. If you're watching or listening, thank you so much, because to me that's what I've said. I've said regardless of how many views, how many like subscribers, followers, whatever, my job is to impact one person,
at least one.
And like my favorite, again, like I know the Batman, the like Justice League film had a lot of issues. One of the key things I liked from that was and I've spoken about it before. The Flash said like, oh, like how do I be a superhero? What do I do? What do I do? And Batman literally just tells him like, save one. Like just one. To be a hero, all you got to do is save one. And it's the same with like whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're sort of like creating a product. Like all you have to do is just impact one person. And if that person turns around and they're like, you have done the most amazing thing, you have changed my life, you've done it, then you just know you are like, regardless of if others are doing it and they're successful, or if others do it and they're making money, like as long as you've impacted one person, and that one person will be like, the information you have given me has helped me to do this, or helped me to do that, or has changed the way I see myself. That is the most important thing.
And sorry, let me just say this. This is why, as an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur, because if you look at the definition of entrepreneur, like when you reduce it, it's just someone who takes risks. But I think it's been turned into somebody who makes money, right? If you're a real entrepreneur, you are not actually in it for the money, at least to begin with, in my opinion. Right? You, as a real entrepreneurs, are somebody who sees problems and finds solutions. Like you said that earlier. So for me, being a real entrepreneur is actually by finding a way to benefit society, right? And like you said, that one person that will be impacted and that will have their lives changed forever because of that because of the problem that you're looking to solve, right? So your motive at the beginning should never be to make money. In my opinion, if you want to make money, go and sell off eBay. Like, go do that. That's cool. And I'm not bashing these things. I'm not saying making money is bad. You will eventually make money. However, if you actually want to make more money long term, look to find the biggest problem in society and find the best solution to it. right? And I promise you, long term the money will come. Short term it might be like, what am I doing? Like I have no idea. Like what? But the reason it works is because your motives are not on money. It's more about the problem. Your mindset shifts from how can I create margins and how can I shave my costs down to X amount. It shifts from that to how can I solve this issue? How can I really grow and reach the most amount of people possible with this solution and this solution to the problem that I'm solving, right? So have that mindset to begin with. Have that mindset of problem solution. Most entrepreneurs have this mindset of problem money, right? If there's a problem, okay, how can I make money from this? No, it's I have a problem. There's this problem. How can I benefit society with my solution? No, I have a problem. And how can I make money from this? No,
definitely, man. And yeah, the one final, because I know we've been on this question for some time, but like one final thing before we go into the last one, is like what you were saying. I think ultimately, like as an entrepreneur, like you were saying about like funding and getting money and all this stuff. Yeah. Like the thing is, people invest in people's ideas not because like they're necessarily always looking for money. They're like, okay. You've got a problem, you've got a solution. And it needs to be something that's done. And they'll be like, cool, you believe in it, I believe in you, let's put some money down. They won't be like, oh, okay, you want to make like $6,000 in the first month, so we're going to give you like funding for it. No, they want to see like you interested, are you passionate about it? Are you like, working towards it? Are you doing things like this and that? And like, it's and I think that's like we were saying, like that's the thing that gets lost. Everyone assumes that like to win these competitions, like I agree, some of like we were saying, like sometimes these competitions can come across that actually no, you need to have like you figured out how you're going to make money and all this stuff. And again, I don't necessarily always agree with that, but I also feel like there are people that are just like, cool, I will give you like £500 or even like £100 for your business because I'll agree with it. Like I said, at the end of every episode, and even at the end of this episode, I'm going to mention Patreon. Like, the people that help pay our Patreon, thank you to you as well. Because even though, like, we don't charge a lot, it's £4 a month. Like, to do that, and like, they haven't quit. They do it every month. And I'm just like, that to me shows that you believe in me. And that believes in and you believe in the dream. And yeah, man, that's powerful.